Hello, welcome to, oops, just banged my table. Welcome to another Mamemeister readout. We've got a special guest, Jax, who's sitting in the suite. No barking, Jax. Anyway guys, I'm going to read out another one of my article things. Again, there's bits that probably repeat in other ones that I've read out, but I'm just going to go for it anyway. This one is called Spandex and Moehair. My gaming was shit. Basic programs on my Texas T1994A were shit and I knew it. It had been a credible effort on my parents' behalf to get me onto the computer owning circuit. I realised they were strapped for cash, but I was no nearer to being in the fold than before owning this damn Texas. I could only ogle the home computer course screenshots of Flight Simulator and The Hobbit. 100% machine code, full screen colour graphics. Fuck, the best this offered was controlling a letter V through a screen of W's in an attempt to reach the base, i.e. the letter M. Not quite high res, but that was the best I was going to get. I felt like the penny farthing owner looking in on kids with their latest BMX bikes. Yeah, I had a computer, but it was rubbish. Every Saturday would entail a dash up to John Menzies. Can you tell me where your Texas T1994A game section is, please? Oh, you mean the Spectrum? No. Oh, never mind. Thanks anyway. I knew I had to take it into my own hands. My old fella's best mate's wife was a supervisor in Woolco, a huge superstore version of Woolworths. It was great. It sold everything from beds to gardening stuff to TVs to clothes. Oh yeah, and it also had a cafe and a dedicated electronic game section where Vectrex, Astro Wars and Firefox all showed off. I was 15 and was turning 16 in October. Several months later, he put in a word and I went up for my interview, which basically involved turning up on time and being shown where the compost was stored and what I'd be doing on the Saturday. I turned up prompt as a button and was allocated my blue overall, which was so long it almost tripped me up, and my badge, which proudly displayed Alan in all its resplendent dynamo glory. So off to work. First day involved moving bags of compost from here to here. Next week I was having a go in the electrical department. I had to set up a display of light bulbs and can still to this day remember Kate, the aforementioned supervisor, asked how I was getting on, to which I replied, "Fine, it's light work." I was working for the first time in my life and it was great. I was restricted to a few hours on the Saturday until I was of legal age. My 16th birthday came, and with it my provisional licence to drive my green Honda C50 moped. Here I was, 16 with a wage in wheels. Fucking bring it on. The birthday saw me working a Thursday, Friday night, an all-day Saturday and a Sunday at a double time if I was lucky. With this also came my permanent role, trolley boy. This basically entailed gathering shopping trolleys and scouting round the car parks at night, bringing them in. Thursdays were the best, payday. The feeling of signing my name and receiving a little brown envelope which was stuffed with notes and coins. Suddenly I was in a position to finally get on board the good ship Spectrum. Finishing work one Thursday night, I made my way to the computer department. It was jam-packed with everything I so wanted but couldn't have. Philips video pack, ColecoVisions were all there, yep, Spectrums too, but one in particular caught my eye. There it was in all its brown slab glory. This powerful business computer I'd heard about, the Commodore 64, boasting an elephantine 64K of memory. Heck, that was 4 times the Spectrum. So it must be better. Only snag was the fucker was almost £300. Mind you, looking at all these colourful pie charts and graphics on the box, a quick gander at the games, Interceptors, Frogger 64 and Crazy Kong was enough to convince me I had to have it. I went up to the desk and inquired, "Do you own your house?" I was asked. "Nope." "Have you a driving licence?" "Nope." "Any utility bills for proof of address?" "Nope." "Any credit cards?" "Nope." "Fuck me, I'm 16 for fuck's sake." "Sorry son, you'll need your parents' rent approval to act as guarantors." A few days later, with the credit transaction finalised, I had to pay at least £16 a month or more if I desired, using a little red Winfield payment book. I was soon clutching the long box and in the car heading home. Box unpacked, I hijacked the TV upstairs. My mum was content to just sit and knit and occasionally glance at the screen, acknowledging how great the graphics were. especially on Frogger 64. Mums are the best. She could be 100% not interested and thoroughly bored with the content, but whenever I asked her what she thought, she would just show nothing short of undivided attention and enthusiasm at my new toy. The next day, my 64 was put downstairs into my bedroom and connected to the black and white portable. It wasn't long before my Winfield payment book had a bush colour 14-inch added on. Work was great. Sometimes we'd be told to go to the cafe and take down all the cakes from the day that hadn't been bought to the compressor for disposal. Bollocks to that. We'd go down in a lift, pull open the lift door, which brought the lift to a standstill mid-floors, where we'd then devour all the fancies. Lee was probably 18, 19, and he was my hero. I idolised him and wanted to be him. He was a hippie with long, poker-straight blonde hair, and I was so chuffed that he ever spoke to me. He was in charge of the loading bay, where all the lorries came in to offload. Sometimes he'd let us ride the new consignment of Thomas mopeds that had just arrived in for Christmas. I'd exhausted Frogger. Crazy Kong was shit, unplayable and looked crap. It wasn't long before I established a few contacts, which built up my collection tenfold. Up until that point, my computer hobby was something that I did for half an hour a day, nothing more. That was all to change when I left John Menzies with the latest copy of Computer and Video Games. Their star game was a football simulation for the 64 called International Soccer. It was unique because it came in a cartridge and sold for a staggering £9.99. Every Saturday I would go in during lunch to see if it was in. Eventually I got it. A long, narrow box, silver in colour, if I'm not mistaken. Hurriedly I made my way down the road on my moped. Slotting it into the back of the 64, I switched it on. International Soccer by Andrew Spencer, it announced. Then I was met with a screen allowing me to personalise my strip colour. I always went for yellow. It wasn't long before I was beating the computer in level 9 and able to pull off the heading trick. You run one direction, then as you press the fire button, jerk the joystick in the opposite direction, and your player would run along with the ball bouncing on his head. No day was complete without a marathon session of international soccer. I would sit and play until all hours, 1, 2 in the morning, and still made school in the morning. My dad would scoff, "You should be outside getting a girlfriend instead of sitting playing on that stupid computer." It was only a few years ago, 18 years later, that I discovered that back then my father was worried that I might be gay. Such was my addiction to the computer and apparent non-interest in the opposite sex. Davidson, a loner from school, befriended me. He was a loner because he wasn't a very nice person. He was into AC/DC and always wore spandex trousers and a red leather jacket, and he also smoked. He was described by many as sleazy and was also someone my mum never took to. Feeling uneasy when he was around, he also had a stutter to end all stutters. He would turn up at the door, and as it was too damn nice to tell him to fuck off, he invariably came in, despite my begging my mum to say he wasn't in. "You can do your own dirty work, my lad," she would say. The strange thing was, although I really didn't like this guy, he loved my computer, especially international soccer, and that created a bond between us. Away from the computer, I couldn't stand him, but around the Commodore 64, we had an understanding, if you will. I was probably better at it than him, and he was a terrible loser. Two further games dominated our lives in the early days. Super Fruit in the Commodore, I think, and Hustler by Bubble Bus. Davidson loved Super Fruit. He was 17 and was over 6 feet, something of a rarity in 1983, and he went to the pub. He was obsessed with fruit machines, indeed. I believed he is now a fruit machine installer, so I guess that he found his niche in life. Super Fruit was something he could relate to, and there was many a night where he'd turn up and I'd load up Super Fruit and leave him to it, sometimes disappearing with my other friends for a run and would return finding him still glued to the TV screen. Hustler was a very simple top-down pool game. It only featured 6 balls, all the same colour, plus the white. It had a few games, including one involving potting the balls in order of number and a solo game. Davidson and I played the solo game, but had added our own rules, with the winner being the one to pot the last ball. It wasn't uncommon for us to be sitting till the early hours, Spanish train in the stereo, playing games of first to 50 frames. This was our world, school by day, Wilco in the evening, and CD Pool Hustler by night. This game led to the start of dogging school, and for me, although being in 5th year, it was easier to swing it. The year is now 2003. I haven't seen Robert Davidson in over 8-9 years. The last I saw him, he was trying to hit on a girlfriend of mine at the time, unsuccessfully I may add. He even stole my Crazy Kong and Frogger 64 tapes, taking them back to Woolco and exchanging them for money. That was the end of our relationship. I've no idea where he is now, and I don't really care. If you should ever see a gangly rock god throwback slouching over a puggy, give him a wink and say, you're still shite at Hustler. That's it, guys. Hope you enjoy that. Please leave any feedback if you want these to continue, and thanks for watching.